and the story begins at an international jiu-jitsu tournament called the Spidey Invitational. We're at the World Finals, and the outcome is less than a minute away from being decided. On the mat, we see one of the competitors pinning his opponent with considerable force. Our fighter looks very focused as he holds his adversary down with all his might. With a 5-point lead, he just needs to hold on for 15 more seconds to win. However, something unexpected suddenly happens, leaving the young man surprised. His opponent uses all his strength and starts to turn the situation around quickly. Reversing the position, the adversary now gets on top of him in one swift move. And without wasting any time, the guy locks in an armbar to finish the match. Our protagonist feels a lot of pain and now just needs to resist for 10 more seconds. But the pressure on his arm is too strong, and it looks like he won't be able to take it. He starts to scream in pain as his joint is almost at its limit. This is the final of the World Jiu-Jitsu Championship, the biggest dream of his life. After the match ends, both competitors collapse on the mat, completely exhausted. However, our guy seems completely devastated by the final result of the match. Even with the armbar, he endured until the end and became the grand champion. Cutting to the next scene, we see that our hero now works as a heavy machinery operator. A colleague invites him for a drink, but the young man says he needs to go home soon. His friend insists and asks if his brother-in-law is going to pay the bill this time. He jokes that he'll only pay when his daughter Mina goes to college, but she's barely started elementary school. In the end, the two decide to go to the bar together for a drink. The ex-fighter recalls that he achieved his dream but, at the same time, lost it forever. At the restaurant, the two make a toast to celebrate the end of the day. His brother-in-law asks why he's so emotional, and the protagonist says he's very grateful. He confesses that his life now is much more comfortable than during his competition days. The friend expresses his thanks, as he was the one who got him his job and excavator license. The colleague jokes, telling him not to change his mind later, and the young man laughs at the situation. People might think his life is tough, but the truth is different. Arriving home, his daughter runs to hug him with a big smile on her face. He feels so happy with the life he has that he would want to be born as himself again. Suddenly, his daughter jumps on him and applies a surprising move. The little girl applies a flying armbar and her father plays along, surrendering. The young man praises the little one, saying she's getting good at the moves, and she asks if her dad can't take it. In bed with his family, he says it's late, but Mina still wants to play a little longer. The ex-fighter hopes his life will continue to be as peaceful and happy as it was that day. But suddenly, he wakes up to his daughter calling him in complete desperation. The girl looks terrified in a strange place while calling out for her father. Still sleepy, the father asks to sleep a little more, but a shadow approaches the girl. Out of nowhere, a horrible monster appears and grabs little Mina's head with all its might. In the blink of an eye, the father lunges at the creature to protect his daughter from danger. He manages to grab the creature's head and pulls it away from his precious little girl. After the charge, the man falls to the ground but spots a piece of wood nearby. Without hesitation, the ex-fighter grabs the object to use as a makeshift weapon. He gets up quickly and faces the creature to defend the scared little girl. Using all his strength, the protagonist lands a powerful blow on the monster in front of him. The monster falls to the ground, dropping a small black object next to the frightened girl. At that moment, the hero has a strange vision and seems to be fighting against himself. A dark, monstrous reflection of the young man appears with a terrifying smile on its face. His evil version stares back at him through a broken glass with empty eyes. The man is terrified to see his own reflection turn into a bizarre monster. Suddenly, another creature smashes through a glass wall with everything it's got. The zombie-like creature charges straight at the protagonist to attack while Mina watches in fear. The creature knocks him to the ground and quickly pins him with great force and aggression. The monster grabs our hero's head with its hands to prevent him from escaping. The ex-fighter is on the bottom and seems to lack the strength to break free from the creature's grip. But using his fighting experience, he manages to grab the monster's head to fight back. Our protagonist tries to choke the creature, which begins to struggle for air. The monster starts to lose consciousness and slowly stops moving completely. The young man struggles to knock the creature out, but wonders if it can even pass out. Ignoring the doubt, he continues to squeeze harder to finish off the opponent for good. With a quick movement, the protagonist throws the creature far away. Completely exhausted, the man stares at the two monsters lying unresponsive on the floor. Terrified, he wonders if he has taken out those strange creatures, but suddenly, the monster's head on the ground starts to move to his astonishment. He realizes with horror that the monster might not have been truly defeated. Hugging his daughter, he apologizes, but the girl tells him to be quiet and shut up. Confused, he leans against the wall and wonders why he's in a store with Mina. The man realizes he can't remember anything that happened at all. Suddenly, he has a frightening vision of several monsters staring at him intently. Out of nowhere, a bizarre monster appears, dancing and singing happily in the place. While dancing, the monster seems to split, and a ghostly version appears beside it. Soon after, several identical monsters appear and start dancing together in a line. The monster continues its bizarre dance in the middle of the abandoned department store. Holding Mina, the father runs through the area and slaps the dancing monster. However, in doing so, a horde of furious creatures starts chasing him relentlessly. Desperate, the man runs as fast as he can to escape that nightmare. He spots an exit door and runs towards it while a monster stares at him, confused. The broken exit sign indicates that this might be the only chance to escape. With the monsters on his tail, the father runs with his daughter in his arms towards salvation. With no time to lose, he throws himself against the door to try to open it and flee from the creatures. After getting through, he quickly uses his sofa to barricade the door and buy some time. Finally safe, the man breathes a sigh of relief but is still very tense about the situation. But soon after, he hears a strange noise and turns around, startled to see what it is. To his surprise, he finds a person dressed as a soldier sitting on the stairs. Little Mina is also scared and doesn't understand what's happening there. The soldier says he simply doesn't like the situation and stares at the father with a strange look. He deduces that the man had an accident and explains that 80% of humanity has changed. The protagonist asks to borrow his phone, but the soldier says the number wouldn't work. The soldier explains that they need satellite communication equipment. Our hero listens attentively and seems worried about what he has just discovered. The man begs for a call to his wife, but the soldier taunts him to ask for more. They go up the stairs and find a door with a sign indicating the building's rooftop. The father worries about monsters on the roof, but the soldier says that with weapons, there's nothing to fear. The soldier then asks the man to open the door because his leg is injured. He asks Mina to stay with the soldier, but the girl says she doesn't like that man. Carefully, our hero opens a crack in the door to peek at what's outside. He peeks through the crack in the door with his heart in his throat, not knowing what he'll find. To his astonishment, the rooftop is completely packed with bizarre and frightening creatures. Shocked, he says there are far more monsters there than he could have imagined. Suddenly, the man notices a wound on his stomach and is completely confused. He then remembers what happened, and his eyes widen with the discovery. The soldier then flashes a malicious smile, revealing his true intentions. Without warning, the soldier shoots at the protagonist, who lunges at him in a quick reflex. The ex-fighter manages to grab the soldier before he can react to the surprise attack. Using his fighting skills, the hero lands a precise blow to the treacherous soldier's face. The soldier is stunned by the blow, and his face reveals a very strange appearance. Even so, the soldier manages to fire a shot, hitting our hero's leg. Ignoring the pain, the protagonist runs towards the traitor to continue the attack. With a quick movement, the father reaches out to try to disarm the enemy soldier, and he lands a powerful punch right in the soldier's face before he can react. Next, the ex-fighter rips the dog tag from his opponent's neck. Using the chain from the dog tag, our hero begins to choke the traitor mercilessly. A sinister shadow seems to take over the father's body as he attacks with fury. His face contorts into an expression of pure hatred as he screams in rage. The soldier manages to fire several times, hitting our protagonist square in the back. Even wounded, the man stands up with a determined and frightening look for the enemy. Seeing the scene, his daughter Mina cries desperately, afraid of what might happen. The soldier then throws our hero off the roof, straight into the horde of monsters below. He falls into the midst of the creatures, but seems to be recovering from the impact of the fall. One creature says that for some reason, children are not infected by the mysterious virus. The monster reveals that due to a superstition, children are sold for very high prices. On the roof, the soldier holds Mina and says that humans are just as dangerous as the infected. Tears stream from the father's eyes as he despairs over the fate of the children. In the middle of the monster horde, he reflects that the world may have always been this way. Even wounded, the man tries to get up, only able to think about reaching the door. He runs to a door and tries to open it as the monsters close in to attack. A huge monster grabs him from behind, and he screams for them to open the door immediately. The horde of monsters surrounds him, and he desperately shouts that it's him out there. The creatures then pile on top of him in front of the door he was trying to open. Inside that pile of monsters, our hero is being crushed without mercy. The creatures attack him with everything they have, giving him no chance to escape. A hand approaches his face, and it seems all is lost for our hero. However, he suddenly fights back, grabbing the head of one of the monsters with brutal force. His gaze changes completely, and one of his eyes turns black with a red iris of fury. And with a bizarre jaw, he bites the monster that was attacking him with all his strength. Emerging from the pile of monsters, our hero breaks free with an explosion of dark power. He stands up with his back wounded but seems not to care about the pain at the moment. With slow steps, he walks across the rooftop, now littered with defeated monsters. Reaching the edge of the building, the man stares down at the ground with a cold, determined expression. His transformed eye glows with a frightening intensity, showing his inner fury. Down below, the traitorous soldier runs with Mina in his arms but senses the father's presence. Blood drips from the protagonist's eye as he watches his daughter being taken away. The soldier tries to put the girl into a truck with other soldiers at the scene. In a dark voice, the father calls his daughter's name with a tone of desperation and anger. Without a second thought, he takes a step forward and throws himself off the top of the building. Everyone looks up, shocked to see a man jumping from the building towards them. In free fall, the father screams that he's coming for his daughter, no matter what. Mina struggles to break free, calling for her father who is coming to save her. The protagonist screams with all his might, and his transformation seems to grow even stronger. Confused, a soldier asks if the falling things are infected, but no one understands. One of the soldiers says it's the first time he's seen an infected person jump from a building. Meanwhile, our hero continues to fall at high speed, straight towards the ground. He stretches out his hand to prepare for the imminent impact. His veins bulge, showing all the force he's about to use to cushion the fall. With a powerful impact, the protagonist hits the ground, creating a large crater. His red eye glows intensely and he seems ready for the battle to come. With his fingers, he tears through the asphalt as if it were nothing and propels himself forward. A huge explosion happens near a car, startling all the soldiers at the scene. The traitorous soldier comments that they are falling from the building quite loudly. Suddenly, everyone is shocked to see something emerging from the smoke of the explosion. The protagonist runs out of the dust at an incredible speed towards them. Completely terrified, the traitorous soldier begins to scream desperately in fear. With bat-like wings, the father leaps, and even a monster begs him to leave it alone. The soldier panics and starts shooting in all directions, not caring about Mina. But our hero is too fast and manages to dodge all the bullets with ease. The soldier shouts that he'll hit him eventually, but our hero keeps running non-stop. The leader tells the guy to stop shooting randomly and orders another soldier to take over. The new shooter aims carefully at the protagonist, who is in a high, exposed position. Despite being hit by several shots, the man keeps running and dodging with agility. He screams in pain and rage but doesn't stop running towards the truck to save his daughter. The leader asks if the corporal has ever seen such a stubborn infected person, while Mina tries to break free. The father says he's never seen anything like them as he continues his relentless pursuit. The truck tries to speed up to escape, but our hero isn't going to give up that easily. The soldier holds the struggling Mina while the leader yells at her to be quiet once and for all. The shooter concentrates to try to land a fatal shot on the approaching man. A powerful shot finally hits the protagonist square on, throwing him far back with the impact. But his red eye continues to glow with fury, showing that he hasn't been defeated yet. Out of options, the leader orders them to use a grenade, and one of the soldiers obeys instantly. The grenade is thrown and lands right next to our hero, who continues running without stopping. The father stares at the grenade on the ground, and suddenly the object starts to crack strangely. A gigantic explosion occurs, throwing the soldiers to the back of the truck. Desperate, little Mina screams and reaches her hand out towards where her father was. The soldiers look back, completely shocked by the size of the explosion. On the road, we see the protagonist's arm lying next to his dog Tag. Gravely wounded, the man can only whisper the word crane as he collapses. Even with almost no strength left, he manages to get up, still thinking about rescuing Mina. With tears in his eyes, the father looks devastated, but his gaze still burns with determination. Lying on the ground, the man is now surrounded by several monsters slowly approaching. The creatures watch him with curiosity as he remains motionless and badly wounded. Suddenly, his lost arm begins to regenerate with a dark and bizarre energy. One of the monsters approaches to get a closer look at what is happening to our hero. The creature extends its hand, but the father's new arm is already almost completely formed. The monster is surprised and speechless, seeing the rapid regeneration of the man before it. With his newly formed hand, the protagonist grabs his dog Tag with a look of fury. He then seems to hear his daughter's voice calling him and regains his will to fight. In his mind, a memory of Mina reminding him of his promise to play with her and her mother appears. His red eye glows with fury, and he seems to awaken with a new determination. With his power at its peak, the shirtless man stands up ready for battle. But suddenly the transformation passes, and he wakes up confused and sweating profusely. Looking at the dog Tag in his hand, he seems not to understand what just happened. One of the monsters then asks if he has finally come to his senses after the commotion. The creature explains that it saved him because it saw how he was treated by the other humans. The old monster says that this is a safe place and that he no longer needs to worry. He invites him to sit down and fish for a while to relax on a platform over the water. However, our hero grabs the monster by its clothes in a very aggressive and unexpected way. He throws the creature to the ground, and the old one thinks the father wants to devour him because he's craving humans. Terrified, the monster asks him to wait a moment, but the protagonist doesn't listen. He pins the creature to the ground with his foot, while the old one begs him to stop. Without hesitation, the ex-fighter applies an armbar, and the monster starts screaming in pain. The father then begins to attack the creature relentlessly while it pleads for its life. Suddenly, the father stops the attack and realizes the monster is talking to him. The old one says that 20 days have passed and that he can finally understand them. The two then stop fighting and go back to talking on the platform over the water. The monster asks if he still has his memories from when he was human to want to save his daughter. The hero asks for the location of the military base, and the old one says it's easy to get there. He apologizes for the arm, but the monster reveals that they don't heal like the protagonist. The creature explains that they continue to live with the injuries they receive forever. While smoking, the old monster seems thoughtful about their situation. He reveals that he also has no memories and that the father is the first with this condition. They were once human, but now they are no longer anything of the sort. The father thanks him for the help but says he needs to go because his daughter is waiting for him. He then asks for help to cross, but the monster seems hesitant about the idea. The creature asks if he is a human or if he is one of them. The old one says it doesn't matter, because someone with a human heart is too dangerous. And just as it's hard for humans to harm each other, the same goes for monsters. The monster says that by trying to hurt it, the father is closer to being human than they are. Our hero becomes pensive while the old monster just watches the water in silence. Sitting on the edge, the father asks how he can get across the water. The old one then asks one last question, inviting him to forget his daughter and stay with them. With a determined look, our protagonist refuses to abandon his precious daughter. The creature warns that his human heart will one day put all of them in danger too. Therefore, it decides that, as expected, our hero will have to meet his end right there. The father says arguing is pointless and jumps into the water to swim across if he has to. The old monster just watches the scene in silence, showing no reaction. Suddenly, the fishing float starts to move, indicating that something has taken the bait. A giant monster emerges from the water, and the old one says he will have to get through it. Led in surprise, the protagonist turns to face the old monster and his new challenge. Many monsters emerge from the water, and the old one says he must perish there for the good of all. Coming out of the water, the father faces the monsters with a determined look, ready for the fight. A sinister shadow appears behind him, and his red eye begins to glow again with pure fury. With incredible power, a black spike shoots out of the water in front of the old monster. The creature laments, saying that if he had stayed with them, none of this would have happened. But suddenly, the monster turns around with an expression of pure astonishment and fear. It was our hero, holding him by the head and telling him to do as he pleases. The father then warns that if anyone gets in his way of saving his daughter, Mina, it doesn't matter if they're human or infected, he will take them all down without mercy. The other monsters in the water just watch the scene, completely unresponsive, and out of nowhere a bizarre and monstrous mouth opens on our protagonist's chest. He warns that he will take down anyone, human or infected, who gets in his way. The monsters look up and seem afraid of his overwhelming power. One of the creatures becomes terrified and starts to sweat nervously. Our hero looks exhausted, but his gaze still burns with an endless fury. Fearing the danger, some monsters start to get out of the water to try to escape. The creatures make strange noises while the old one watches everything from the platform. Suddenly, something bizarre comes out of the father's neck, and he gives a very sinister smile. Our hero stares at the old monster while strange things float in the dark water. Out of nowhere, the old monster opens a huge mouth and starts to laugh in a very strange way. The monster continues to laugh loudly as if it finds the whole situation quite amusing. The father says that since he's laughing, he'll have to break his other hand to make him settle down. The old one says it's better to be sure than fast, and that he won't find his daughter in a hurry. Now, the father is wearing the old one's clothes and complains that he's speaking to him informally. The monster then says it's not a good idea to go straight to the military base, and the father asks why. The creature reveals that there's a very dangerous guy over there, while some monsters form a formation in the water. Curious, the father asks about this dangerous guy, and the monsters continue their bizarre poses. Just as the old one was about to explain, a monster with horns jumps out of the water holding a bone and screams. In the blink of an eye, something very fast happens and surprises everyone there. Our hero had already taken down the monster at the edge of the pool with a single blow. He complains that they attacked him with water ballot, but a monster says it was a misunderstanding. Another monster explains that not all of them are intelligent while the father hits the other creature. The creature says there are different types with special powers that follow orders or have intelligence. And there are also those who only have appetite and instincts left in their bodies. That's why they even attack their own kind, perhaps because of the father's strong human scent. Our hero stares at the monster with a suspicious look, not believing the story. The old monster gets visibly nervous at the father's reaction and starts to tremble. He then begs the protagonist to trust him, at least for the sake of his arm. The father says it doesn't matter how strong the enemy is, because he will not back down. And he warns with fury that anyone who interferes with his path will be defeated. Our hero stares at everyone with a cold and determined gaze, ready to move forward. Then the protagonist points at all the monsters in the water with a commanding gesture. With authority, he orders all the creatures to get out of his way immediately. One of the robot-faced monsters is even happy with the order and strikes a strange pose. The old monster then guides him to the alternate route through a very dark tunnel. Our hero enters the tunnel without hesitation, as he will do anything to save his daughter. Inside, they find a giant gorilla-like monster eating hands. In the darkness, the father sees the creature's silhouette and wonders if it's a gorilla. The monster then warns him about a very dangerous guy who is in their path. The gorilla makes some noises that mean for them not to enter its territory. The creature continues its grunts, warning that it won't pursue them if they retreat. With a determined look, our hero prepares for the confrontation ahead. But without hesitation, the father attacks and throws the gorilla far away with a powerful blow. He thinks that he needs to get to Mina quickly and basically tells the gorilla to get lost. The tunnel then leads them to the entrance of a very strange nightclub. Inside, they find a party full of monsters celebrating and drinking. And to everyone's surprise, the dancing monster from before is in the middle of the dance floor. The creature starts to dominate the dance floor, splitting in two and spinning. The creature continues its show with more bizarre dance moves for the audience. The monster sways its body for the crowd of creatures, who seem to love the performance. Suddenly, a strange purple energy starts to take over the whole place. The creature continues its strange dance, and now even extra heads appear on it. Out of nowhere, the gorilla appears and smashes the dancer to the ground with a single blow. With uncontrollable fury, the giant gorilla throws the other monsters away. Even though he's badly injured and missing a tooth, our hero faces the creature with determination. The monster lunges and lands a powerful punch that sends the father flying into the wall. The protagonist tries to block the blow, but the gorilla's strength is overwhelming. Being held by the neck, he remembers something he saw on the internet about gorillas. His red eye glows intensely as he comes up with a strategy to win. On a blog, he saw that if a gorilla attacks, you just have to pull it close and pin it down. The second step of the plan was to punch and stick his fingers under the animal's arm. And finally, you just had to get its back and apply a rear naked choke to finish the fight. But in desperation, he realizes that the internet tactic isn't working at all. Suddenly, a loud noise echoes, and a crack appears in the wall behind the bar sign. The crack in the wall starts to grow rapidly, frightening everyone. The gorilla then throws our hero against the wall, which shatters from the strong impact. The protagonist's head is slammed hard against the wall, and he seems badly injured. At that moment, he remembers the old monster saying that they don't heal like he does. His red eye glows with intense fury, and he seems to have a plan in mind. The giant gorilla attacks him with powerful punches, giving him no chance to fight back. But the father grabs the monster's arm and thinks that it doesn't matter how strong it is. Using his technique, he applies an armbar to immobilize the giant creature. He remembers that a broken arm doesn't regenerate for other monsters like it does for him. With a quick and brutal move, our hero breaks the gorilla's arm in one go. The gorilla's arm is violently torn off, and the giant creature falls to the ground, defeated. The monster looks up, completely shocked by what just happened to it. Though victorious, our hero seems very tired after the intense fight against the creature. Lying on the ground, the gorilla starts to make strange noises as if trying to say something. With a look of fear, the creature stares at the father and continues its low grunts. The father asks if it still wants to fight and says he'll have no other choice then. His red eye glows with fury, and he prepares to finish off the opponent for good. But out of nowhere, two smaller monsters appear and make the same noises as the giant gorilla. The protagonist then realizes that the gorilla was just protecting its small family. With a protective hug, the giant gorilla shows that it only wanted to defend its young. Our hero then understands the situation, and his gaze returns to normal for a moment. With a new determination, he decides to press on to save his own daughter. He runs up a slope as the silhouette of the gorilla and its young is left behind. The father tells himself not to think about anything and to focus on his main goal. He reaches the military base and sees some fallen soldiers near a truck. The plan is to jump the wall to be safer, and he sees two guards in the guardhouse. The father then uses the other monsters as a boost to get over the high fence. He throws the creatures onto the barbed wire fence to create a safe passage. With an agile leap, our hero uses the monsters to get over the fence. One of the guards hears a strange noise and becomes suspicious of the situation. Suddenly, the protagonist appears behind him, and the guard wonders what an infected person is doing there. The father applies a rear naked choke and asks about Soldier Lee Byung-ho with the dog tag in his hand. On the other side, a guard sees the scene, and a monster laughs because his weapon won't work. The protagonist uses the soldier as a shield, and the other guard's weapon can't hit him. The soldier surrenders on the ground while the monster laughs, and the father just watches the scene. The protagonist thinks that there are people he desperately wants to see again, at any cost. His beloved daughter Mina, who is smiling happily, hugging her teddy bear, and also his dear wife Seol-ah, who calls to him with a smile on her face. Suddenly, the father is surrounded by several soldiers who order him to surrender now. His red eye glows with overwhelming fury, and he prepares for the fight. He thinks of his daughter who is taken, and is filled with hatred to take them all down. The soldiers are completely terrified by the protagonist's presence and fury. With a backflip, our hero charges straight towards the soldiers. He lands a powerful blow and throws one of the soldiers far away with all his might. Angrily, the fallen soldier curses at him and tells him to kick harder next time. The father then demands that they bring his daughter back right now, without further delay. He squeezes the soldier's neck tightly, and his nose starts to bleed. With a look of pure fury, our hero continues to think about his daughter's rescue. He then shouts, asking all the soldiers where his precious Mina is. Suddenly, a soldier appears from behind and points a weapon at the protagonist's head. The soldier asks why he is looking for his daughter in this particular place. The father says it was that guy who kidnapped his daughter, and the commander seems confused. He states that he only came there to find his daughter, and nothing else matters. The commander notices his eyes and asks if he is human, because he doesn't seem ordinary. Our hero doesn't answer and just stares at the soldier with his glowing red eye. He then remembers the old monster asking if he was a human or one of them. The father ignores the question and says he just wants to find his daughter, but the commander is doubtful. He explains that the soldier was going to sell Mina, and that they would pay well for her. The commander is confused and asks what that means, but the father doesn't answer. The fallen soldier says he has met him before and to look for his dog tag. Desperate, the soldier shouts that they don't need to listen to that guy and that he attacked the base. One of the soldiers tries to shoot, but the weapon doesn't fire, and he panics. The commander also tries to shoot, and his weapon doesn't work either. He then asks if the soldier is really a sergeant because the safety lock was on. The other soldiers just watch the scene, not understanding what is happening. A soldier introduces himself and says he has something to report to his commander. He confirms that Sergeant Lee Bung, who brought a child from the department store. With eyes full of hope, the father shouts that the girl's description is correct. Desperate, he grabs the soldier and asks where his daughter is at that moment. Our hero shouts with fury that he is the girl's father and that this story makes no sense. The soldier says that the surgeon saw him contacting his family on the radio and took her. The fallen soldier shouts for them to stop talking and shoot the protagonist right now. The father then says that, as expected, that traitorous soldier needs to go down once and for all. The commander asks him to stop the commotion because they are listening to what he's saying. After hearing everything, our hero seems calmer and more thoughtful about the situation. He admits he hates to admit it, but he now understands more or less what happened. The commander then calls for everyone who was on the operation with the sergeant to step forward. One of the soldiers confirms that everything that was said is true and that they rescued the girl. The commander says he received no report about this and that the procedures would be complicated. The soldier says it's not the first time the sergeant has done this without reporting to the base. Desperate, the fallen soldier shouts that he was just acting first and reporting later. The commander questions him because he didn't report anything, and the soldier is left speechless. The fallen soldier curses the soldier who turned him in and accuses him of framing a superior. Furious, our hero lands a powerful punch on the traitorous soldier's face. With a strong kick, he finishes off the soldier, who falls to the ground completely defeated. The traitorous soldier lies on the ground with his face all bruised and unresponsive. The father then stares at everyone with his cold gaze and his red eye glowing with anger. The commander says it's impressive, and our hero asks what he means by that. The soldier explains that he doesn't have a single wound even after all that commotion. The commander says it's a standard procedure because they had problems with bites before. He then hands an eye patch to the protagonist and says it's an order from the commander. The soldier says that with that eye, it would be normal for him to be attacked by anyone. Our hero just listens in silence as he puts his black shirt back on. He then prepares to continue his search for his daughter with a determined look. The commander says that as soon as the sergeant wakes up, the military trial will begin. The father remembers the soldier in the truck and thinks that finding Mina is the priority. In a hurry, he asks when exactly this military trial will be. Suddenly, gunshots are heard, and our hero pulls the commander to safety. Over the radio, the commander hears that the sergeant is shooting and setting off grenades. No one understands how the sergeant, who was supposed to be in the infirmary, is doing that. The commander peeks through the door and is shocked by the scene he sees outside. The traitorous sergeant is fleeing the base in a jeep and flips the vehicle. Without hesitation, our hero prepares to jump and pursue the fugitive. He breaks the window and jumps out so as not to lose sight of the sergeant. The protagonist lands on the ground and immediately starts running after the flipped jeep. With the eye patch on, he stares at his target with a look of pure determination and fury. The sergeant gets out of the jeep and starts running to try to escape by any means. Our hero runs with all his speed to not let the traitor get away. He knows that if he loses sight of the sergeant now, he might never find his daughter again. With pure determination, he says that there is no way he will lose sight of the sergeant. A soldier appears on a motorcycle and tells him to stay at the base, but the father says he's going to get him. The soldier stares at him, confused, not knowing what to do in that emergency situation. The father jumps on the motorcycle and tells the soldier to step on it so they don't lose the traitor. The soldier complains that the bike will be slow with two people, but the father says it's faster than the comm scanner. Over the radio, the commander asks who is pursuing the fugitive sergeant on a motorcycle. The soldier identifies himself and says he's after the sergeant who stole a retina scanner and fled. The commander informs them that reinforcement units will arrive soon to help with the mission. But suddenly the communication starts to fail and the soldier can't hear clearly. The commander's voice becomes filled with static and the message becomes incomprehensible. The only thing he can understand is that capturing the sergeant is the top priority. After a moment of silence, the soldier agrees and prepares to accelerate. The motorcycle skids on the asphalt, kicking up dust as they prepare for the chase. The soldier says he understands and revs the bike to catch the fugitive. At high speed, they follow the flipped jeep through the streets of the abandoned city. The father says he was a good shot and asks the soldier to shoot the jeep's tires. With the rifle in hand, our hero prepares to shoot at the moving vehicle. His red eye glows as he aims with precision to hit the target. He fires a few shots but fails to hit the tires of the fugitive's jeep. The father tells the soldier to hold on tight because with one more shot, he'll get the hang of it. But as the motorcycle accelerates, the soldier loses his balance and the protagonist drops the rifle. The soldier catches the weapon in midair and jumps off the bike to provide cover for our hero. On the ground, the soldier positions himself to shoot at the fleeing jeep. The father then takes the front of the motorcycle to continue the chase alone. The soldier shoots with precision and manages to hit the jeep's tire squarely. The father asks for the weapon back, but the soldier says it's because it wasn't his weapon. The soldier then positions himself to shoot again with more precision at the target. He fires a perfect shot that hits the jeep with everything he's got. The bullet hits the back of the vehicle and causes significant damage. And with that final accurate shot, our hero finally achieves his goal. With the jeep stopped, the motorcycle approaches to finally capture the fugitive sergeant. At high speed, they advance through the streets to prevent the traitor from escaping again. Rounding the corner, the motorcycle prepares to intercept the stopped vehicle just ahead. But suddenly they're hit by something and fall off the bike with a strong impact. Our hero looks back and his red eye glows with surprise and anger. It was the sergeant who threw a grenade upwards to hit the pursuing duo. The soldier prepares to shoot the explosive to prevent it from hitting them. His eyes widen in fear as he sees the grenade falling right on top of them. With a perfect shot, the bullet goes through the grenade in mid-air before it explodes. An explosion happens right next to the jeep and hits the sergeant with the shockwave. The traitorous soldier is stunned by the noise and the force of the surprise explosion. The father then jumps off the bike and lunges at the soldier who knocked him down. With a look of pure fury, our hero prepares to finish off the soldier. He throws himself on top of the sergeant and slams him against a truck with all his strength. The chase finally comes to an end, and the father manages to capture the traitor. The soldier sees that there are too many to face alone and needs to come up with a quick plan. He thinks about shooting into the air and waiting for reinforcements, but dismisses the idea as too risky. The best plan is to wait for the van to move away and shoot its tires, then hide. The kidnapper's van starts to move away slowly down the empty city street. The soldier waits for the right distance to act without being noticed by the enemies. But suddenly, he feels a strange presence and turns to see what it is. He realizes with horror that he forgot something very obvious in that situation. With all the noise they made, a horde of monsters was attracted to the location. He remembers his training, which says the best strategy is to damage the brain. By severing the nerves of the cervical spine, the monster can no longer move. But if he encounters several infected alone, the situation changes completely. The only way out is to use a grenade to get rid of the danger at once. The soldier grabs a grenade and thinks it's not the right time to use it yet. He needs to wait for the perfect moment to detonate it when they are all gathered. And at least with the explosion, he could give the father a chance to escape. Suddenly, the soldier is surprised to see something that leaves him completely shocked. Instead of attacking, the monsters start to strike very strange bullet poses in the middle of the street. Frightened, the soldier watches the bizarre scene, not understanding what is happening. He wonders if he's going crazy, as he has never seen anything like it before. One of the monsters seems to be at peace, as it strikes an elegant pose in the middle of the street. The soldier blushes embarrassed by the scene but can't look away. He realizes they are higher-level monsters because they don't attack him and wonders why. With a keen eye, he tries to understand the meaning behind that bizarre dance. He notices that the creatures have expressions and long for something with desperate gestures. Lying on the ground, he realizes it's not a pre-meal ritual but something deeper. The monsters line up and lie on the ground as if they are on the verge of their end. In their minds, they seem to be crying out for help, saying they don't want to go yet. The soldier still doesn't understand the reason for that strange and desperate dance. Out of nowhere, the old monster appears and walks towards them with a serious look. The creature stares at the soldier with an expression of pity and sadness on its face. The soldier then turns and sees our hero crouched in the middle of the street, looking exhausted. With his red eye glowing intensely, the father seems to be regaining all his strength. The older creature observes the whole scene with a serious and very suspicious look. His transformed eye glows with a frightening intensity, showing all his power. As a gesture of respect, the old monster takes off his hat, revealing his very strange hair. The monsters say they heard human voices but will just be content with surviving. The soldier wonders why the infected person fled and runs to see if our hero is okay. Confused, our hero takes off the eye patch and asks what place this is, as he doesn't remember. The soldier thinks he has lost his memory and says he was chasing the sergeant but lost him. Suddenly, the father feels a very strong headache, and the soldier approaches concerned. He remembers chasing the traitor on a motorcycle and despairs at having lost sight of him. The soldier is completely shocked by our protagonist's desperate reaction. From a window, a mysterious voice tells the father to stop moving, or she will shoot him now. The female voice then asks with great curiosity if this is a human hunt. A hooded woman and a little girl appear, and the little one asks the two men for help. The scene then cuts to the front of a completely abandoned arcade cafe. The woman reveals they came by truck, but she doesn't know how to drive and asks for help. Our hero says he can't waste time now, and the woman begs for help so she doesn't perish. The little girl calmly eats a piece of candy while staring at the soldier's weapon with great curiosity. Our hero seems thoughtful and clearly conflicted about what decision to make at that moment. The father then tells the soldier to take the woman and child to a shelter while he looks for his daughter. He asks for all the vehicle information and says with certainty that he will find his daughter no matter what. The soldier says it was a white van and that searching alone with a bad memory is impossible. The protagonist asks the woman if the guys with the tattoos kidnapped her daughter, and she confirms it. With a sad look, she reveals that her child was also taken by the same group of kidnappers. Hearing this, the father's expression changes, and he looks at the woman with a hopeful gaze. The father asks where they are, and the woman says his daughter might already be at the shelter. She then reveals that the reason for the kidnappings is human trafficking, and that they buy the children. He desperately asks about Mina, and the woman says she doesn't know but he can go check. With a determined look, our hero agrees to go to the shelter to look for his daughter. The soldier warns him, saying that following a stranger is a very big risk. The word "risk" echoes in our hero's mind as he thinks about what to do. He remembers his daughter crying and says that no risk matters when it comes to saving Mina. The scene cuts to the back of a blue truck that is parked on the street. Arriving at the shelter, the woman is greeted by other hooded people at the gate. An old man says there are no exceptions, and the woman asks the father to undergo the inspection. Confused by the situation, our hero calls the soldier by his name Suman. The soldier then answers the father's call, not understanding what is happening. The old man explains that the check is like at the airport to prevent infected people from entering. The protagonist takes off his shirt, and the old man says he's lucky not to have any scratches. The older creature stares at our hero's body with a very strange look. Our hero asks if he's talking about some injury he hasn't seen. Suddenly, the old man becomes all flushed and embarrassed by the unusual situation. Startled, the father calls him a pervert and is completely speechless at the scene. The old man then asks why he doesn't take off his eye patch and the rest of his clothes too. The father grabs the old man's hand as he tries to take off his eye patch without permission. The old man insists, saying that hiding something is suspicious, and that's why he really wants to see. The soldier thinks that showing that red eye won't bring them any good. The soldier tries to argue, but the old man says there are no exceptions to the procedure. Without warning, the old man picks up the weapon from the ground and points it at the shocked soldier. The weapon is pressed against the soldier's forehead, and he is completely terrified by the situation. With a cold look, our hero tells the old man to behave if he wants to stay alive. In a swift move, the father manages to divert the weapon from Soldier Suman's head. He then performs a leg sweep and knocks the old man to the ground in one go. Using the old man's cloak, the father attacks him with a staff in a precise blow. The old man falls to the ground completely defeated while the soldier watches the scene. Holding the old man on the ground, our hero stares at him, and the old man asks what he's doing. The father says that if he wanted to hurt him, he would have finished him off a long time ago. The old man grumbles that the protagonist really complicates things for everyone. Suddenly, they are surrounded by armed guards while the old man laments the situation. Surrounded by the guards, he asks if they will kick him out if he continues to resist the search. With a cold look, he is warned to take off the eye patch if he doesn't want to have problems. The old man grumbles again, saying that the protagonist only complicates their situation. He insists that everything would be resolved easily if the father just took off the eye patch. Pointing their weapons at him, the guards pressure him to follow the shelter's rules. Threatened, the father is forced to decide whether or not to reveal his secret to everyone there. He thinks he can defeat them, but that would reveal he is not an ordinary human. Sweating, our hero feels pressure to make a very difficult decision. Suddenly, the woman he saved appears and shouts that he is her benefactor and savior. The guards are confused, and one of them shouts that they just need to confirm he's not infected. The old man just grumbles in frustration, not knowing what to do in that complicated situation. With no other choice, the father covers his eye with his hand and seems to have a plan in mind. He apologizes and lies that he lost his sight in an accident and that it's a complex for him. The old man complains that everything would have been easier if he had said that from the beginning. Furious, the old man yells at her not to wake the children, and that when it's time to sleep, it's time to sleep. After all the confusion, our hero seems very thoughtful and relieved for a moment. The woman apologizes for the old man's stubbornness, but the father admits he didn't act well either. With nothing else to do, he decides he will wait until morning to look for his daughter in the shelter. As for Soldier Suman, he seems very tired and still very suspicious of that place. In the room, the soldier suggests they take turns on watch for security, as he doesn't trust them. The father tells him to go to sleep first, but the soldier insists on taking the first watch. With the agreement made, the soldier goes to bed while our hero stands guard. He thinks that he's not sleepy and wonders if it's because of nervousness or something else. With his hand on his face, he seems very bothered by something that is disturbing him. Since he can't sleep, he decides to take a walk around the shelter to clear his head. But suddenly, he remembers that he had agreed to stand watch with Soldier Suman. However, the soldier had drawn eyes on his eyelids to pretend he was awake and on guard. The night continues calm and silent with a large full moon shining in the dark sky. Walking through the corridors of the shelter, he finds the little girl he saved earlier there. Our hero is confused because he doesn't understand what the girl is doing alone in that place. The little girl holds an old soccer ball and stares at him with a curious look. Without hesitation, the girl throws the ball towards him so they can play together. With a smile on her face, she asks our hero to pass the ball back to her. He says it's late, but the girl reveals that she heard he's leaving tomorrow. With a smile on his face, he agrees to play for 10 minutes, and she celebrates happily. Holding the ball, the father asks what that smart little girl's name is. She says her name is Mayang and that she is 7 years old, the same age as his daughter Mina. The little one says she wants to play with him and his daughter when they meet again. Under the moonlight, the two continue to play and have fun with the soccer ball. He warns her that time is up, but little Mayang still wants to play a little longer. Carrying the girl in his arms, he says he will take her to her mother. But she says she doesn't have a mother. He then remembers that the woman never said she was her daughter and that she must have been rescued. With a shy look, little Mayang stares at the protagonist with a blushing face. She asks to sleep with him because our hero seems like a real father to her. The protagonist is speechless and his gaze fills with a very deep feeling. He then remembers a happy moment with his family and a photo at the beach. In bed with his wife, he notices something moving under the blanket. It was his daughter Mina, who with a big smile says she wants to sleep with him too. They joke that she'll be going to school soon and can only sleep with them until then. Little Mina says she loves her father's arm pillow with a smile. Back in the present, he hugs little Miang with a look full of affection. The little girl then falls asleep peacefully in the protagonist's arms. With a slight smile, he watches her sleep and seems much calmer now. And so, the two sleep together in the same bed while the soldier rests in the other. The next day, the sun finally rises and illuminates the entire shelter. In the dining hall, everyone is gathered to have breakfast together. A soup is served, and the woman says they can have seconds if they want more. The woman explains that they grow vegetables and gather things from the mountain with the help of the elderly. The father worries if they could handle an emergency since most people there are elderly. The soldier informs him that at 8 o'clock they can look for Mina during the shelter's general roll call. While eating his soup, our hero anxiously waits for the shelter's roll call. He then thinks that he still hasn't thanked Soldier Suman for all the help he has given. But suddenly his gaze changes completely as he notices something very strange there. The soldier in front of him drops his food bowl and collapses on the floor. Completely in shock, the father doesn't understand what just happened to the soldier. He looks around and realizes that all the people in the shelter are passing out too. The woman who guided them there flashes a malicious smile, revealing her twisted plan. The soldier remembers his own warning that following strangers always carries risks. With a look of pure fury, the protagonist understands that they have fallen into a trap. The woman continues with her bizarre smile and lets out a very scary laugh. Suddenly, he finds himself in a dark place, and the soldier seems unconscious at the table. He then spots little Mayang kneeling on the floor, seeming to be in great pain. The little girl starts to gnaw on a piece of bone on the floor with a completely empty look. Out of nowhere, the girl turns around and transforms into a monster with sharp teeth and red eyes. The creature then extends its hand towards our hero, who is on the ground and unresponsive. Back in reality, our hero wakes up and realizes it was all just a bad dream. He and the soldier are hanging by chains while little Miyang struggles. The soldier says it's okay because the chains can barely reach them, and they'll get tired. Our hero realizes it's not a good situation, but that they don't want to end their lives. The treacherous woman appears and complains that she was eager to see what the old folks would do. She complains that the old folks are useless and can't even follow simple orders. Holding a knife, she says they don't know how to wait for the right time for the slaughter. He concludes that if their goal was to take them out, they would have had many chances already. He agrees with the analysis, and the woman says she was worried about the elders' plans. The father asks what she means, and the woman just teases him with a smile on her face. The soldier tries to negotiate and invites her to go to the military base to be safe there. She says the army prioritizes children, and therefore there are lower priorities too. The woman asks if he thinks they've never tried to go to the military base before. The father then asks if the story about rescuing children was also a big lie. With a glimmer of hope, he asks if his daughter Mina is really in that place. The woman seems very surprised by the question asked by our protagonist. Suddenly, a muffled sound of laughter begins to echo throughout the place. With a malicious expression, the kidnapper starts to laugh in a very scary way. Our hero is completely confused, not understanding that bizarre reaction. The villainess then asks if he thinks she's a saint for gathering so many children. The father questions the motive, and she reveals a rumor that consuming children prevents the infection. She explains her theory that feeding her daughter would bring her back to being human. At that moment, little Mayang transforms and starts gnawing on a bone on the floor. The woman just watches the whole scene with a very sinister smile on her face. The soldier screams desperately that this is crazy, but the woman agrees it seems foolish. However, she points to the father, saying that he is also fighting for a daughter who is already gone. Upon hearing those words, our hero is completely shocked and speechless. A memory of little Mayang holding the soccer ball flashes in his mind. Desperate, the protagonist stammers, unable to believe what he just heard. With great horror, he asks if she got rid of all the children in that shelter. The woman says she only fed her daughter and that it was an unavoidable sacrifice. With a trembling voice, our hero desperately asks where little Mayang is. The kidnapper plays dumb and repeats the little girl's name mockingly. With a sinister smile on her face, she seems to enjoy the father's desperation. She then asks with contempt if that was really the name of that brat. Gritting his teeth, our protagonist is consumed by an uncontrollable fury. With an explosion of power, he breaks free from the chains with a cry of pure hatred. In the blink of an eye, he lunges at the woman and attacks her with brutal violence. Soldier Suman is completely shocked to see the scene and doesn't understand anything. Even covered in blood, the woman flashes a malicious smile and stares at the protagonist. Cutting the scene, we see a soldier yelling at Suman for slacking off on duty. A locked suggestion box shows that there were many opportunities before. The story then takes us to the front of a building on a sunny day. Inside a truck, a soldier reprimands Sergeant Lee for not reporting to the base. The sergeant asks what would happen, and the other says the base would take care of the child. He shouts that the procedures would be complicated and calls the sergeant useless. The sergeant then asks another soldier, who agrees with everything that was said. Desolate, the soldier just apologizes as the world is in a pitiful state. Back in the present, the soldier remembers that everyone seemed to have stopped thinking. Jeers represent that everyone was moving like pieces in a large machine. He remembers when he told the commander that the sergeant had kidnapped the father's daughter. The protagonist says he just wanted to find his daughter, but the soldier doesn't listen to him. The soldier thinks that everyone there is just a piece in a large, broken machine. If he had kept quiet, none of that would have happened, and he would be safe. He remembers when he presented himself to the commander to report what had happened. The soldier thought he would just be a cog if he didn't do the right thing. By confessing, he was trying to maintain his human dignity and atone for his mistakes. But now, hanging and hopeless, he regrets his previous decision. The treacherous woman tells him to pull himself together, and he wonders how it all ended up like this. Completely terrified, the soldier stares at the scene with a look of pure desperation. He remembers the woman saying it would be nice to have a young man around. With a look of regret, he realizes he was too complacent with them. The soldier remembers his own warning about following strangers and feels like a fool. Crying, he regrets not realizing the mistake before it all happened. Suddenly, the treacherous woman notices he is crying and is very surprised. She starts to mock him and calls everyone to see a man crying over that. The soldier can only apologize while the woman scolds him angrily. Without pity, the other members of the group begin to assault him relentlessly on the ground. Even while being beaten, the soldier continues to apologize with tears in his eyes. The soldier continues to cry and apologize while being mercilessly assaulted. The woman then calls our hero's name to provoke him even more. The soldier thinks about the chances he had to avoid all of this but did nothing. The woman tells the old man that the soldier seems to have lost his mind over the situation. Suddenly, a cry of pain and desperation echoes through the place, startling everyone. It was the soldier who continued to cry nonstop, completely desolate and hopeless. Suddenly, a bizarre, skeletal creature appears in the midst of everyone with a loud scream. Soldier Suman continues to scream on the ground, completely devastated by the situation. On top of the table, the protagonist transforms to a terrifying monster, and an old man panics. The woman screams that it's a monster and tells the old folks to shoot it quickly. From above, the monster observes everyone below with an intimidating presence. The soldier calls for the father with tears in his eyes, not believing what he's seeing. From the roof, the old folks are shocked to see his body regenerating in an impossible way. The soldier then remembers when he shot at a target on a distant roof. He realizes that the target was our hero, who kept running even after being hit several times. Inside the truck, the other soldiers just watch the chase unfold. Sumit understands with horror that the father was the infected person he hunted that day. Back in the present, the creature on the ground growls that it needs to go home immediately. With his red eye glowing, he says that many guests have arrived for the party. In the courtyard, the transformed hero charges at the cult members with pure fury. Without hesitation, one of the old men runs with a knife in his hand to attack the monster. Shouting for our hero to meet his end, the old man stabs him right in the chest. However, even with the knife embedded in his body, the protagonist doesn't seem to feel anything. His red eye glows with an uncontrollable fury, showing his immense power. Staggering a bit, the father stares at the old man, who is shocked that he is still standing. Suddenly, the old man starts to scream in pure terror at what he sees in front of him. While the soldier cries, the woman just watches the old man screaming in desperation. With a precise blow, the protagonist lands a powerful punch on his attacker's face. A bizarre blood-filled smile appears on the father's face, showing all his anger. Using his strength, he delivers a brutal blow and throws the old man to the ground. The woman orders them to shoot him in the head, but an old man complains they should just restrain him. One of the cult members then picks up his weapon and aims carefully at our hero. Several shots hit his chest, but the protagonist continues to advance without stopping. And a powerful shot finally hits our hero's head with full force. Even wounded, he rips the weapon from the old man's hands with incredible speed. With a terrifying roar, he stares at the old man, who is paralyzed with fear. The old man is paralyzed with fear as he faces the monster right in front of him. The protagonist grabs the old man's head and throws him to the ground while another attacks him. Another cult member charges with a knife to try to attack the hero from behind, but with a swift movement, the father manages to dodge the surprise attack without any problem. And in the blink of an eye, he is already in an advantageous position to counter-attack. The protagonist uses the old man himself as a shield and attacks him with his own knife. With his red eye glowing, the father stares at the old man, who whispers something in his ear. Our hero then opens a bizarre mouth and bites the old man's shoulder with all his strength. A large amount of blood sprays everywhere, and the woman is shocked by the scene. In the courtyard, the father stands over the bodies of the cultists he defeated alone. Soldier Suman watches everything, completely horrified and sweating with fear. Covered in blood, our hero approaches the soldier, who is still tied up on the ground. With a frightening look, he stares at the soldier with his face half human, half monster. Terrified, the soldier begins to grunt in fear, unable to speak a single word. The protagonist's red eye glows intensely as he lets out a terrifying snarl. Our protagonist groans in pain and seems to be returning to his normal state. With his mouth full of blood, he slowly regains his consciousness. He stares at the soldier with a confused look, trying to understand what happened there. The soldier calls him with a trembling voice, not knowing how to react to that bizarre scene. With his hand on his head, the father asks what the situation is and what happened at the location. The soldier is confused and doesn't know if he is an infected person or if he has returned to normal. With a trembling voice, the soldier tries to explain the situation to our protagonist. Without beating around the bush, the soldier tells him that they took little Mayang's life. Our hero falls completely silent upon hearing the terrible news from his mouth. With a vacant look, he stares into nothingness, unable to process what has happened. From above, we see the bodies of the cultists in the blood-red sky of that night. His red eye continues to glow, but now with a deep and endless sadness. Nearby, we see a fallen kin with something black and strange coming out of it. With a look of pure pain, our hero closes his eyes and gives into sadness. He then remembers the woman saying that they buy the children to rescue them. He remembers a monster saying that children don't get the virus and are sold for a high price. Back in the courtyard, our hero stares at the remaining cultists with a lifeless look. Grabbing one of the old men by the head, the protagonist lifts him off the ground with great force. Covered in blood, the father continues his attack, giving no one a chance to escape. With a brutal grip, he finishes off the cultist, who doesn't even have time to scream for help. Running through the courtyard, he charges at the other members who are desperately trying to flee. With a powerful punch, our hero hits another old man squarely in the face. He continues the relentless attack, throwing the cultist to the ground with a single, precise blow. Suddenly, with his red eye glowing, the father orders everyone to stop immediately. The woman then takes the soldier hostage and threatens him with a knife to his neck. The soldier shouts that it's okay and that they did wrong by little Mayung. The man asks what she wants, and the woman tells him to just stay quiet in the basement. He questions why she hurts humans if she can devour the infected ones out there. The kidnapper laughs and asks if he's crazy, because she doesn't want to get infected by eating them. With a cold and calculating look, our protagonist says he now understands everything. With a cold expression, he asks the woman if he still looks human to her. The kidnapper is completely shocked, not knowing what to answer to that question. Suddenly, a strange noise begins to echo and she looks down, very scared. To her horror, the bodies of the cultists on the ground begin to reanimate and contort. One of the surviving cult members is terrified by the bizarre scene in front of him. The woman turns to the side, completely confused, not understanding what is happening. Out of nowhere, a bite mark appears on her neck, and she lets out a grunt of pain. A giant, monstrous mouth bites her with full force, and she screams in pure desperation and fear. She panics because if she turns into a monster, no one will take care of her precious daughter. Our hero reflects on monsters that eat humans and humans that hurt them out of malice. He then asks what the difference is between her, who lost her humanity, and the infected. With a vacant look, he just whispers the name of his beloved daughter, Mina, with sadness. The woman then asks if that is his daughter's name in an attempt to save her somehow.